Hey guys, it's Brer. Making this video because I just want to document my life, get some of my thoughts out there, explain what I'm doing. So, what am I doing? So, at the moment, sort of my North Star or most fundamental goal is to make a decent short film. The way I'm planning to do this is I'm saving every penny I can. Well, not every penny. As much as I can. And and then I'm currently thinking of how to write a script and lots of story ideas. Essentially, the way I'm going about getting story ideas is trying to figure out the human character or personality, which is it's a hard thing to explain how that connects to storytelling, but anyway, it's what I'm doing, and it's taking a long time to figure it all out. I'm reading Maps of Meaning by Jordan Peterson. I've probably mentioned that 100 times, and watching his lectures. So that's been really good in learning. So I wake up and it's hard because the best time for me to study concentrated study, where I'm really okay, this is a new idea. How does this connect to all my other ideas? And is in the morning, first thing in the morning, before I do anything. All I do is maybe clean my room a bit. Even then, I don't do that. I just maybe get a drink of water, go to the toilet, and then I study for an hour. And then it's it feels so good because it's 6 or 7 a.m. maybe study. I'm trying to get up to 2 hours. But you've done that and it's 7 a.m. You have a full day ahead of you and you've already just conquered this studying. And then for the rest of the day, it's I've been watching The Wire, really enjoy that, and listening to what's the book called? 1984 by George Orwell, because that's on Jordan Peterson's reading list. And because I only go through about at most 3 pages a day, and usually less than 1 page in that 1 hour of studying of the Maps of Meaning, and he has about 100 something books recommended. Getting through some of the fiction books, because of course you can go through them with a fine-tooth comb like I am with his analytical books. You can still get a lot from them just by listening to them through, which I don't think you would get from it just listening to his analytical books through. So yeah, I'm doing that so I can cross some fiction books off that huge list, which is going to take me a few years to get through that whole book list. And yeah, listening to his lectures. So I've gone through his biblical series, I've done his personality lecture of 2016, and I've done 2017, which I did that way beforehand, of his personality lecture, and now doing his 2015 personality lecture. So they're all about 15, 20 hours each of those each years. So I'm just going to go through all the years. It's essentially the same ideas over and over again. There's a lot of them. I'm basically trying to draw the ideas out in a way that I understand them. Because it's I got all these bits and pieces okay, I understand, okay, this is how the human motivational circuit for the dominance hierarchy works, and then here's how the amygdala and the limbic system and the hypothalamus regulate our base emotions. It's a lot of just random facts, you know what I'm saying? But to bring them into a coherent system that's basically what I've been working on. And it's sort of it sounds pretentious, but it's not. I'm trying to develop my own like map of the psyche. Not because my map's going to be revolutionary or anything. It's just one I'll understand. And there's a lot of maps of the psyche, and I'm trying to understand, Jung's and Freud's and whatever. Because that's going to take me a long time. So I'm really just drilling down into the base core components, and trying to just work my way up from very simple concepts into more complicated ones. And like listening to Jordan Peterson, what will happen is it's entertaining to listen to, but then he'll just say a line. It's like, that's the next brick in my very low resolution map of the psyche, and then I'm like, boom, got that. And then reading it and going through a fine-tooth comb, it's like that, but like times 10. But it's it's much harder because you're just thinking about one. Because his talks are very they're rambly. So you have an idea, then he'll talk around it and like, okay, this context. But the book is just like direct. Okay, this line, and you're like, holy, oh, that's a cool idea. Never thought of that before. How the heck does that work? All right, think. All right. I'll get through this one paragraph, and then it's like you get through that one paragraph in 30 minutes, and then you like go for a walk and you think about it like, hey, yeah, that makes sense, and then you go through and you listen to him, you're like, oh, that idea's coming up again, oh, he gave that context, I see that in a different line, and it's gonna take me a long time to figure out like, well, it's impossible to like figure out the the full psyche. Not impossible. Well, people way smarter than me have tried very hard, and they've gone very far. But there's like, it's like how far we've explored the universe. Like, we've done a good job, but like we haven't even like scratched the surface or anything. Haven't even done 1% of 1% or of 1%. Like, yeah. But no, I'm finding this really enjoyable, really fun. I guess I could talk about what my conceptualization of the psyche is, how far I've gotten. I think before that, because I was thinking while I was talking about, I tried to explain at the start why. Okay, so my North Star, make a short film, and why learning about the psyche will help me make a short film or get me a good story idea to make a short film. Because I think I've got I think maybe I don't, maybe I won't know. But I think I got the surrounding elements of like how to hire people, how to get a set. I think I can do all that, and maybe I can't. Maybe it'll be a learning experience, but we'll see. But the main thing is like the soul of the film, the story. And I've been trying to figure out what storytelling is and how to make good stories for the last 1 or 2 years, and I feel like I'm getting towards a good answer, but I feel like I'm still a long way off. Anyway, to explain why is, I like to use the analogy of like, okay, so what are we doing? What's happening when we watch a film? Okay, so a film, we have sound and video somehow create emotions so there's 3 elements. There's the audience member or the person watching the film, and then and how they feel. So, and then there's the image and sound. So the image and sound is somehow, the magic of cinema is creating feeling within an audience. And essentially what I'm trying to figure out is, one, so how do we feel? Why is it that when we watch video and sound, that it creates feeling? How the heck does that work? So that's what I'm trying to figure out, and that goes into like learning how the psyche works. And second, it's also looking into me and like, why the heck do I want to make films to make other people feel things? So It's a very simple way of sort of explaining it. And so I think the core. So when I'm looking at, okay, I want to make a good film, forgetting that second part of why do I want to make a good film, that's going to be a hard thing to, like, I sort of got an answer, but, just leaving this aside, I want to make good films, and you can categorize what a good film is in many different ways. I want people to watch it, feel certain emotions, and yeah, and what those emotions are. I felt those emotions. I can't articulate them, but I guess as time goes on, I'll be able to articulate them more. And so I think the core of the problem is figuring out, in this whole equation, is not figuring out, in a sense, it's figuring out sound and image, but most core, if you want to figure out stories, figuring out how the human soul works, what the architecture of the soul is, So, yeah, that's what I've been doing, and so it's sort of North Star, make this film, and then in between that, figuring out the soul, what emotions I want to create, how I want to, don't have the words for it. But yeah, that's what I've been doing, and basically what I've come to so far of like what being is, my phenomenology is a fancy word for that. Is okay. To my knowledge, I am human. No, I'm an entity surrounded by whatever the skin, entrapped in this body. And I'm in a universe or a world, and I have awareness of this world, and the way I move through this world is in 3 steps. First step is analyzing where I am, and what that means is what emotion. I'm actually not going to explain it because I feel like I can't explain it well, but I will be able to explain it well eventually. Should I just go for it? Okay. So we have stimuli, and stimuli is biologically created. So in conflict with the world, we have created certain hunger stimuli. We've, through evolution, the ones of us who felt hunger, and this hunger drove us to, find food and eat it, survived, and the others of us who didn't have hunger died. And so we have all these biologically created stimuli, and so we have these very base stimuli. So we can think of hunger, thirst, thermoregulation, so am I too hot or too cold? There's aggression and anger. They're more higher conceptualizations of stimuli. They're not very simple. And then there's sexual desire and familial. I had a list of the very basic ones. And we also have high conceptualizations of the higher stimuli. So conscientiousness might be an example of that, where it's not very obvious what conscientiousness does, but sort of having high conscientiousness helps you get a wide variety of different, more base stimuli. So we have stimuli. Stimuli creates fantasies of the future. And we can misinterpret the stimuli or the fantasy of the future of how to achieve the stimuli. And then this creates action patterns, fantasies of action patterns, and then we act these action patterns out in the world, and then we compare our fantasy action patterns of fantasy. This 3-step process you can see as a narrative. You can you compare the narrative in our head to the narrative in the real world, and as long as our narratives are correct for the most part, the map in our head is sufficient of how we've mapped out the world that nothing really changes. But if something goes wrong, we have to update our map, and something goes catastrophically wrong, we have to change. We have to really reconsider how we're perceiving our stimuli, and how we are perceiving our future goals. And so we might have to change our future goals and whatnot. And there's also a high level of these. So there's stimuli in themselves. So maybe we have anger, or we have hunger, or we have thirst, by themselves. But these have to order themselves. So hunger has to work together with, I guess you could say, persona, the person who interacts and with society. So the stimuli of trying to be well socialized. So if I see a cake I really want to eat, but it's someone else's cake, and the only way I'd be able to get that cake is to steal it from them, the persona or the social stimuli overrides the hunger stimuli to eat the cake, And so we have the individual stimuli, and we can think of these as like sub-personalities, because they act in the world in like certain personalized ways. And then we can think of the ordering of these different stimuli as like a meta stimuli of like a whole list of them, a high abstraction version of it, and you can think of these as like sub-personalities as well. And then I've talked long enough, but then you go into how you perceive the world as tool and object, and how narrative affects that, or stimuli affects how you perceive the world. And it's tool, obstacle, and irrelevant is how you perceive the world, pretty much. And then it's sort of like, I think of it like glasses. So you have a sub-personality. It's like glasses over your eyes, where these glasses show everything that's relevant according to that sub-personality. But because you have lots of sub-personalities, it's like you got lots of different glasses, and they order themselves in different ways. So I'm not going to explain that concept, but I think I've sort of got that figured out. And second, there's another concept. Oh, and what's the highest sort of sub-personality, and that goes into like religion and stuff like that, which I'm not going to explain neither, because I'm sort of getting the very base roots of these ideas down, and I'm no one to teach it yet, so I'm just going to keep trying to figure it out. So yeah, thanks for watching if you did. Yeah, this is, and also hi me from the future if I watch this in 60 years. Nice. Bye.